I am beyond delighted now to welcome, Rick the Ukrainian. He needs no introduction, but for the first time ever on the channel, we have Roman Trokhymets. Many of you will know him. You'll know him from Rick's live streams and fundraisers, but I am very privileged and honored to welcome you onto the channel for the first time.
Thank you very much for inviting me here, Jonathan. Hi, Rick.
Hi, Roman. Hi, Jonathan. Good to be here.
Huge, huge pleasure. Now, of course, in this Advent series, we are going to talk about books and films and stuff. And actually, I had Anna on this morning and she started talking about music, which wasn't one of the categories. But if you wanted to talk about music, we can add that too. And of course, Ukrainian artists. I left music off, but then, I thought, hang on a second, music is such an important part. So, that was a bit of an omission, but never mind. We are, of course, going to mention fundraisers as well. And let's get that mention in straight away because we are both doing campaigns for Car for Ukraine and they're entirely complementary. Do you want to give us a little quick word about why you're engaged with that and a very important sort of strapline or concept that I think you've both come up with?
So, Roman, should I begin or you?
Let me start and you will continue what I forgot to add, okay?
Yep, sure.
Yeah, so it's not our first time with Car for Ukraine to gathering money for Ukrainian defenders, for cars and for trucks. And I really appreciate that Rick respond on my request. Can we gather some trucks? Can we fundraising money for trucks for my combat fellow who's still on the battlefield? And Rick said, okay, with pleasure. We only collect for 3 cars. Now it's gonna be 4, and then it's gonna be 5 car. So it's pretty huge campaign for 5 cars. And I believe the most important is slogan here. We call it be in the army or be for the army. So it's not necessary to be in trenches, but it's necessary to be part of this ultimate resistance against terrorism, against Russians. This is my part, and Rick, you want to add something, I believe.
Yeah, it's their terrorism and most importantly, imperialism. It's what we see in Russians who are openly savage or who are sneakily savage, like Russian opposition. I always come back to that topic on Jonathan's channel, you know. But yeah, I gotta somehow be the opposition to all the Russian voices that sound here too. So, guys, it is a slogan that is repeated in Ukraine by not just us. We really have this motto among the active Ukrainians, among the civil society: be in the army or for the army. If you cannot be in the army, that slogan implies that you need to be supporting the army. There's no other way, or we will lose this war. And we kind of sometimes think this scenario is unthinkable, unbelievable, but the situation lately shows that, unfortunately, and it's not that simple if we don't get a proper support from our partners before, even finishing this war. We may see European countries being attacked. Russia will invade European countries even before finishing here in Ukraine. And for that, the other scenario, more optimistic, is if we start fighting back as one, all together. We here in Ukraine uniting as is in the beginning of 2022, in the beginning of the full-scale invasion. Plus, Europe is going to be the same united with Ukraine and with each other, understanding that it's in Europe's interest to fight back. Of course, we cannot, unfortunately, say the same about United States, at least for the next 3 years, that it's United States' interest because they have their strategy updated. And Ukraine sounds there, but not as... not as much as Europe. And it seems that Europe is on their own right now without United States. So Europe needs really to ramp up the support. And you know why I'm going there. I'm going there because yeah,
Yeah,
it is a
Rick,
long speech. How the hell is it connected to be in the
Rick,
army?
it's not 10 hours stream.
Shit.
It's got to pace yourself, not
You know what's ironic? I don't speak that much and don't give these speeches on my own streams. I usually am just saying, guys, come on, donate. We still need only $400 to reach the goal. That's what I say there. So I just wanted to be that being for the army is what can every citizen of the world of free democratic world can do. You guys can join this resistance. You guys can contribute to our defense. And if not with money, because fundraising is not only about donating, it's also about sharing that with people who care. And I bet you know a few people around who care, but they don't know about our campaign. And in that campaign, you can also get the patch that says "Be in the army" or "For the army." I think I am sure that Jonathan will add the link to this campaign to the description of this video.
absolutely well. Yeah.
And yeah, guys, go follow that link and see how the patch looks. We have the second patch there, but that one is more like a local meme. We have our community of Rick Rollers. That's how, yeah, people call each other on my channel. The community raised over $1 million during the last 2.5 years. And we commemorated that achievement with a patch that looks like a dollar bill, but it's a $1 million patch. It has Bandera on it as a president, as a dead president. It's a pretty extreme thing that I personally am really hyped about. So guys, if you want to also check how that one looks, go follow the same link and see it there. Thank you, Jonathan, very much for raising funds for the trucks for Ukrainian army yourself. I really appreciate your continuous contributions. So you participate in every campaign of Car for Ukraine lately. Well, lately, for more than a year, I guess, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for that.
No, it is super important. I think what's important for me is that I know those guys. I've met them. I've seen the garages and behind the scenes how they structure their campaign. I know who's involved with it. I know the passion and what drives them, and I know how efficient and effective they are. That's
Hmm.
super important. Not everyone has the chance to go and do that validation, but I can do it on behalf of my audience. We've also done some fundraisers for Jiggers Poor, which is another Lviv-based charity who do
Hmm.
sort of drones and so on. And Dimka, once that charity was sort of set up and it was really running like a well-oiled machine, and they had a team trained up on whatever, he felt that he was no longer that useful. The thing could run without him because his wife, who's
Hmm.
very young but incredibly capable, runs it. So he's now doing drone interception in Zaporizhia. So he's sort of joined, and I think that's actually a living embodiment of what you said here is you do everything you can. Either it's on the front line or it's on the back line, but both are equally important, and you deploy your skill to the most effective that you can. And I think, at some point he just decided that he would be more effective doing that drone interception, but not just because, serving, because he could gather the data and he could tell people on the ground what data is needed for then the iterations and the evolution of the drones at the back end and the fundraisers and the communication. So I think this is a brilliant phrase. Everyone, well, paraphrase Marx, everyone according to their ability,
Hmm.
etc. But this is so important. Many of you generously contributed to buying a truck, a 4x4 vehicle for the armed forces of Ukraine in our recent marathon fundraiser for Car for Ukraine. That vehicle was delivered thanks to your generosity and refitted in Lviv with life-saving reinforcements to the doors, windows, and the engine area. That vehicle was destroyed a few weeks after it was delivered at the front in a drone attack. All three servicemen survived with only minor scratches and concussion. Your generosity in funding the vehicle was instrumental in saving the lives of all three Ukrainian soldiers. Now we are launching our Christmas Tree Trucks 2025 campaign. The goal is to raise €11,000. So please help us buy another vehicle for one of the most effective Ukrainian brigades on the fourth Christmas of Ukraine's epic fight for survival against an imperialistic and genocidal neighbouring state. Help us celebrate the heroism of the soldiers who have held the line against all the odds, who fight for their freedom and pay a terrible price, while also, incidentally, protecting the freedoms of Europe.
Jonathan, a quick technical question, if I may. Do you cut parts of these recordings?
I'll cut most of you and I'll leave Roman.
Thank
No.
you.
No, I cut nothing. I mean, I leave pretty much everything in there apart from, if the Wi-Fi goes down or, we even did an interview with Christina Khariv the other day and the lights went out, the electricity went out halfway through the interview, but she had all these little flashlights set up. But I kept a good 5 seconds of just her voice in the darkness trying to get things set up for effect, But no, I pretty much like to structure these so that everything that we discuss, unless I'm explicitly asked by the guest to take it out, everything is as you see, as it were. I go
Okay.
for authenticity.
I just have a follow-up question. Whenever I speak, I don't appear on the full screen.
No,
Does it
correct.
make a difference for a Zoom recording? I don't know how it
It
works.
doesn't. I don't tend to output it with all three. You can output it with all three at the same time. But I tend to use the one where it flips between the main speaker, just because I
It
find
just
that
doesn't flip to me. It just doesn't flip to me whenever I say something. Or
it
does it
does.
flip
Yeah,
to
yeah,
you?
yeah, it
It
flips
does?
to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So it doesn't do it for me. I got it. Okay,
yeah.
now it
That's
makes
it.
sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
It
that's
it's
it.
just more engaging. I mean, this is one of the things that's really kind of difficult is that whenever I film on the ground or do a panel event or a live event, those don't perform nearly as well as these pre-recorded videos. Same with the live streams, unfortunately. I mean, you tend to get at least double, if not more, of the traffic and the audience in the non-live format. So it's a bit of a difficult calculation as to, how to balance it.
Thank you, Jonathan. Technical
There we
question
go.
out
Technical
now.
question done. Yes. Um, just don't ask about, the studio. I have so many comments saying, oh, you're a propagandist. You're sitting in the basement of MI6 or something. But actually, this is just a spare bedroom with lots of clutter and stuff all around.
It's okay.
No MI6. No paycheck, unfortunately. That's I'm always accused of like, you're doing good work for your masters, but I'm like, I have no masters. But equally,
Yeah.
So, Roman, your motivation. You obviously you've served in the armed forces. You have done extraordinary activism and stuff. We haven't talked yet though. I want to get your take on where it is because hanging on to hope that not just victory is there, but justice will prevail. Do you hold that hope in your heart when you're doing all these activism activities and needing the energy to keep going?
You ask about this holding to the hope during battlefields or during hospital
During
times,
everything,
or
everything, and now as well.
yeah, actually, I believe that life is consistent battle. When people said something like that, for me, it means that actually it means a consistent battle between good and evil. And just right now, we could see obviously evilness. Sometimes in civilian life, it's pretty hidden, in some corporation, politicians, some courtmen, judgments everywhere in relationships, but right now it's pretty obvious. So it's even easier for that to see what's really going on for people with a critical mind and critical ability to thinking. That's why we live in pretty easy time right now because everything's so obvious. Everything you need just look around and you will see. So there's no need to search this hidden motivation or to search for this hope, because it's so obvious. If I give up, one warriors for something good will just lose, you know. And that's pretty easy. That's why we have no right to just to give up. That's my point. Everything's so simple right now.
That's an incredible insight there because for a long time there's a mask, wasn't there? You know, and Russia really, even during the long war, when to some it was kind of obvious what was going on from 2014 onwards, they managed to keep a sort of hybrid mask in place so that many people were like, well, is it war? Is it civil war? Is it this? Is it that? And blah, 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 you know. But unfortunately, that kind of stuff, that ambiguity works on some level.
Yeah. Jonathan, it works not only for foreigners but in Ukrainians as well. I used to come back from frontline in 2015, and people just looking at me like, guys, we never sent you there. Like, who are you fighting there? You fighting against our brother, or what's going on? Many of my friends did business with Russia. Many of them traveled to Moscow when I lose combat fellows, and we lose Ukrainians because of the invasion, hybrid but invasion. So it was really tough times, and that's why I could say right now that right now it's brilliant and amazing times, despite it's very hard and horror as well. So I'm not in, you know, in these glasses with the with wet dreams, but I just thinking that this controversy finally, you know, we fight fist to fist against evil without no mask, as you said. That's why it's easier and amazing times.
That's brilliant. No, that brings a clarity that hadn't really occurred to me. But also, it took a long, long time, didn't it, to realize that Russian soft power, cultural power, whether it's, you know, television programs, dramas, etc., that actually was a form of warfare as well. It took a long time to say, no, we will not let this stuff infiltrate and create this sort of informational soup of nonsense that's reprogramming us.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. We had a long way. But for me, like personally, if you ask me, I hated Russians in general from my childhood because it was one time I was in Russia, in St. Petersburg, and in Karelia. Actually, Karelia is Finland land, not
That's it. Well, yes,
Russians.
not even Russian land,
Yes,
technically.
yes.
Yeah.
So I was there for 1 month in kids camp. We lived there 1 month, and I always heard from kids, from Russian kids, that we are like a little country, we are maybe little brothers, we are nothing, we just slaves of big, great Russian. And I was kid and I couldn't understand why the hell they have so like imperialistic hatred for my country, which is so rich for the history, for knights, for Cossacks, for a lot of artists, for very like for culture who lived before Russia even appears. And at this point, it was my first fight against them. Me and my older brother, we fight and punch them in the face while it was childhood, because they was hate us. They hate our Ukrainian language. They always, you know, mocking us that we speak in some second sort language. And from that point, I realized it's not about politicians. It's not about their president. It's in their veins, in their genes. You know, this is just who they are, and we can't change them. We can just zero them, you know.
Well, that's super important. That brings me on to something I wanted to bring up, and I think you've beautifully encapsulated this to one of the themes. And Rick's mentioned Mr. Bandera there, which triggers a lot of it triggers Russians like there's no tomorrow. I mean, this is as symbolism goes, but it also triggers a lot of Westerners because they think very literally. We think in very literal political terms that somehow using certain symbolism and taking something like Bandera, that there's a literal bunch of ideology and identity that comes with it. Whereas many Ukrainians I've spoken to, including the great philosopher Vladimir Ermolenko, he says that what you need to understand is that Ukrainians are able to distinguish between ideology and identity and look for the thing itself, which is the ability and the will to resist, the will to fight, just that sheer quality of not giving up and fighting come what may. That's the quality that they see in anyone, irrespective of ideology. But we're very little minded. I think we have a real problem now trying to understand these things. But equally, we have a problem in the notion of fighting for our values. And we'll come to this in a minute because a lot of Russian propaganda in the West is digging to this idea that we have lost the understanding and the meaning and the will to fight. And they try to drive a wedge between that. But Rick, is this quite an important area to unpack maybe?
Mhm. Um, to be honest, I
He
had,
did it.
yeah, I did it.
I can I can start answer maybe, and he will catch
Yeah,
my
Yeah,
response.
I
Okay.
think Roman has to say something about Bandera also
yes.
because we
Yeah.
were discussing it privately a few days ago. Roman,
And Rick maybe will add something. I knew you
hope so.
catch him, Jonathan. Good job, my friend. Real SSA Jonathan in the house.
You got me,
Yeah.
Jonathan.
I don't let anything pass. Nothing passes. Passes me.
Yeah.
But then, of course, Car for Ukraine. The vehicles are branded Bandera Mobile, and it's a form of trolling, and it's very effective
Hmm.
trolling. And
Hmm.
but Western fundraisers tend to take it seriously. Like, oh my goodness, you can't show that. You can't show that in the image because it's like, calm down, calm down. This is more complex than you think. But Roman, over to you.
Um, the point is, let's start. I try to be short, but Russian propaganda is very strong because they was professional with that. They had a lot of training in Soviet Union and before how to manipulate with people. So they have a lot of like tremendous experience. This is fact. Another fact that they spend a lot of resources inside of Ukraine, inside of Europe, and all over the world, wherever they want to reach the country and the people. They spend agents, money, connections, people who live there, like local Russians, so-called good Russians, everywhere. And this is the point how they build strong widespread of any toxic thoughts. And right now we live in 21st century. It's informational century, and we call it not just, it's not a coincidence. So who control information control the world, right? And control the truthful. So while we agree at these few topics, we can get back to exact topic about Bandera. This is so crazy how Russians, they just talking without thinking. And whatever I ask Russians, like, okay, you said Bandera was a Nazi, he was SS, he cooperated with Hitler, but dudes, he was sitting in prison almost all Second World War. Is this some kind of friendship? Is this some kind of cooperation, coordination, French? Maybe for Russians, being friends and your friends send you to prison, it means like, bro, you're my brother. But for most civilized people, sending somebody to prison, it means probably. I can also be
You've got a
mistaken.
point there, Roman.
Yeah,
Being in
but probably
prison makes you part of the elite in Russia. Vor of Zakonia.
yes,
There is
yes.
something there,
Yes,
unfortunately.
yes, you got it, Jonathan, for sure. So for Russian, it means being friends, but for Ukrainian, for all civilized world, when your so-called friends send you to prison for, I could mistaken, for 4 years in Germany, it means that something goes wrong. And second, when you ask Russians, show me something, at least rumors, some proofs that Bandera cooperation with Nazi regime, with the Wehrmacht. There is no such documents exist anywhere, and the only documents it was intention Bandera when he he tried to create a Ukrainian independence country. He only put some intention to use Nazi German to get rid of Nazi Soviet Union. It was only one like words about intention of that. So there's no proof exist about Bandera and who cooperate to SS, to Wehrmacht, to Hitler, to any of them. But unfortunately, Russians so stupid when you start talking with them like that. They only start responding, you're doing propaganda, and you ask them, just dude, just give me at least one documents, and there's no such documents exist. So for those viewers who seeing us, you cannot believe me, but you will search and you will see that it's just propaganda. And to be honest, for many years it was worked not only with Bandera, who lived like 50 years ago, right? But with us, with Azov Battalion, for example, if I can share it with you, because in 2015 I fought in Azov Battalion, and I hear a lot of Russian propaganda that we are Nazi, that we are torturing, killing, we are hating. I used to respond on all the interview, dudes, my call sign is break. I'm a break dancer in civilian life, like before concussion and injuries. Break dance is the dance of black guys from Bronx, from New York, from Africa. How the hell such guys could be in a Nazi? How can I have the clients in my real estate all over the world, Indian, China, African American people, all except of Russia? Yeah, for Russia I'm nationalist, but for other people I'm acceptable. I have friends from different places from the world. They don't know how to respond, but they have a lot of resources. We just getting back to the beginning of my response. They have a lot of resources and connection all over the world just to spread everything they want. And why we live in 21st century, the century of information, they can affect, unfortunately, on many peoples.
Absolutely, that's right. And I think the essence of that,
Rick, maybe,
now
or
Rickshaw has a word there. I mean, the essence is fighting back and the will to fight back. And I think,
come again?
divorcing that from ideology. Rick, you there?
Yeah, I was there all the time. And this time I listened, I actually distracted myself because I wanted to find a bit more about the book I'm going to present later. But I totally agree with Roman that, that propaganda, that Russian propaganda, it goes further. For example, not only Russians will be trolled with Bandera on that patch that we have, also some of our Polish neighbors will be trolled. Because a lot of Polish for the last 2 years have been exploiting our history, our complicated history. We were enemies because Poland also occupied part of Ukrainian territory for quite a long time. And in the fight for our independence, but in the beginning of the last century, we had to fight two enemies at the same time. It was Poland, it was Soviet Union. They were tearing Ukraine apart, and some of the decisions, some of the tactics that our freedom fighters used, yes, they were not definitely not something that we would use these days. I'll call it like this, but this was all in response to the occupation we had. And when you're fighting for your freedom, there are going to be victims of that, and sometimes there might be even civilian victims. But that is back in the history. Instead of living with the current situation, with the current state of friendship we live with Poland, we have with Poland, they like to use these narratives about Bandera symbols that Karol Nawrocki used a lot in his campaign to become a president, and after that too. It is all manipulations. It is all actually being unproductive and just being a politician, a typical manipulative politician, to just use some narratives against their opponents, or to unite people around these narratives. You know, it's easy to unite people around some rage, some hatred, some finding the enemies is the best way. That's how Hitler operated. They just needed an enemy. That's how Russia operates. That's how Russian Empire operates for centuries. They always find an enemy, and this is why we should not be hiding our independence fighters from our past. Like Bandera, for Ukrainians, he is a hero, and it doesn't matter what Polish politicians say about him right now. We have the full right to honor our heroes and to follow their example. And Bandera is not the only one. We had, was he Roman Shukhevich? Roman, do you remember? Yeah, he was Roman.
Yeah.
Too. Roman Shukhevich was also an exemplary commander. He was leading the Ukrainian insurgency army back in the days. It was also in the beginning of the 20th century. And I think Bandera outlived him, but we have several heroes that Polish people will definitely not like. But they are our heroes, and we have the right to honor them. Roman, I see. Jonathan was just leaning. He did not go away from the
He
room.
just leave us. He leave us.
Yeah,
He was
I
boring.
thought he
Probably
just
won't
like-
see this book, but this is a Canadian Ukrainian academic. No, you
No,
won't see this.
cover your face with it. Cover your face with it, and get it closer. It will definitely be seen. Yes.
Okay.
It was seen for
seen
seconds.
for a second. Yeah, for a second.
This is a book called Enemy Archives. And this is from that brief period in the 90s when the KGB archives were opened up, or some historical archives. This essentially is the interrogation transcripts from the KGB or the NKVD who were trying to stamp out the Ukrainian insurgency in the 30s, 40s, and even 50s. And this is transcripts from their operations and from their interrogations. This shows you the mechanics and the absolute brutality and cynicism with which they approach it. And, that policy of divide and conquer, getting people to betray each other, and the absolute ruthlessness they use to eradicate anybody who opposes their will. And I think this is, I haven't read the whole thing because it's longer than War and Peace. It's absolutely massive, but it gives a kind of interesting insight into that struggle and why the very will to fight is so powerful, and why the Russians, their core priority is to stop that and destroy your will to fight through all these other tactics, divide, conquer, etc., whataboutism. These are all techniques, but the ultimate thing is to defeat you, we must first destroy your will to protect yourself and your family and community.
Yeah. Roman, do you have something in mind to also add to this topic?
It's like infinity topic. We can have like for understanding Russian propaganda, we must not dig deep back in centuries. We should understand. We should just remember a few days ago, 1 year ago, like we can understand. We can just remember Russian terrorism act, which they always said it wasn't us, or we are not occupied Crimea, or as the head of the state used to said, we will never attack Ukraine, and then they invade Ukraine full scale. So no need to remember and put on some archive to prove that Russians is just liars who for whom it's just normal, it's just regular. For Western people, it's more like, whoa, yesterday you say one thing, today you say another, maybe you should get out from government or stuff like that. But for Russian is just in the genes. So it's all right for them, but it's wild for us, for civilized people. That's why we will never understand each other in the methods of fighting.
Yes, because there's no
Absolutely.
morality, no values. There's just simple control, power, domination, that kind of stuff. Um, but Rick, you're originally from Donbas, as I
Yeah.
recall from our conversation. So you would have seen the shaping of the information environment, the cultural environment, the injection of Russian, narratives, and its effect. I know we've talked about that a bit. Now, I need to ask, just to be clear, Roman, you're from Western Ukraine, is that right, or are you also from the East originally?
No and no.
No and no. The
I'm from
center,
Kiev.
Kiev, Kiev.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
excellent. But Rick, I'm just fascinated at this penetration of these cultural and information system, and at what point did people, and I guess not everyone realize, but at what point did people realize, hang on a second, this really isn't kind of healthy.
Yeah, Jonathan, when you said the cultural environment, cultural injection, and I thought, damn, cultural, anti-cultural. Russian is so-called culture is anti-culture.
You mean
It's about
bratva isn't culture? I mean, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's that damn bratva is something that they cherish um, for definitely decades, if not for centuries. I don't know when that subculture appeared. Was it in Soviet Union, or was it in their empire before Soviet Union? Uh, but yeah, definitely it is something that they also operated with. The methods they used to recruit the fighters for their let's fake army, because that's fake separatism. Why I call it fake? Because Russia, there was no really a separatism alive there in Donbass anymore. It was actually, by the way, used by Russia in 90s. There were miners' strikes in Donetsk happening, and Russians used the narratives. They actually, as I don't know, you guys definitely know that Russia was planning to get Ukraine back into its empire since the very 1991, and they were always they were not that powerful in the 90s to do it militarily as they did in 2010s, but they were trying to always deceive people. They were trying to work with their KGB methods, with informational warfare, as they did before and after. Nothing changed. It was the same in the 90s, and there were strikes by miners because they were not paid properly for the mining works. Donbass and most like well, I'm from Donetsk Oblast. I can speak only about Donetsk Oblast, but in Luhansk Oblast, it's also pretty widespread. There are a lot of mining facilities, and it is basically a mining region in general, and they were inventing that narrative, Russians, that Donbass is feeding all Ukraine. They invented it in 90s, not in 2014 or 2010. They were feeding up that narrative since 90s that Donbass is always feeding all Ukraine, and that Donbass should stop doing it. The Donbass should be independent. And unfortunately, it worked in 2014 because the television back then was completely Russian. We of course had a Ukrainian state television that was in Ukrainian, but we also had Russian television there in Donetsk that was really, oh my God, there was a stream of that propaganda shit just flowing into minds of people there. And of course, it's always the active minority, right? And there's always that inactive majority. So the inactive majority of Donetsk Oblast never really cared where to live, either Ukraine or Russia. And the previous generations, they stuck in Soviet Union, and why it was no difference to live, in Ukraine or in Russia, because they thought themselves as Soviet people, and to Soviet people, It didn't matter. And this is why it was so easy to convince some of the people that it's much better under Russia. Look, the pensions are huge there. A guy who was 22 years old at that time, and I worked with him, his main, yeah, it was in Aqua Park, actually, in Donetsk Aqua Park. I was just a subcontractor there, and that guy was a part of staff in Aqua Park, and he said, guys, we definitely need to be in Russia. Look at their pensions. He was fucking 22 years old at the time, and he cared about pensions. That's how Russia shitted in the minds of people, even young people there. That the direction, basically, the goal of your life, your present life, is your pension in some 35 years or 40, and it is unfortunately comes from indifference and ignorance, mostly from ignorance. And as how does it sound in English? George Orwell had that one of the slogans, one of the three: "War is peace,"
War
and
is peace,
the
love is
hatred.
yes, was it? No, I need to look that up.
And there was ignorance is power, right? Did it
Something
sound like
like,
this?
yeah. Oh, no, you've really caught me out there. I'm gonna have to look them up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I also forgot it.
I
I
forgot
was
them. Yeah, they got the
when I
Ministry of
read
Truth, and there's yes, war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength.
ignorance is strength, and
Ignorance
that's
is
how
strength.
Russia is using this. Russia builds its state by Orwell's design by
Yeah.
1984 um,
Well, he
book,
copied
and
because this already existed when he was writing the
yeah,
book in
yeah,
1948. He was like, there it is. Um, I mean, I should, I shouldn't say this. I mean, there's Brave New World, but that's a very different kind of view of the world.
yeah.
That's a sort of runaway capitalism. There is a book called "Мы" by Evgeny Zamyatin,
Is
not
it a
to
Russian
amplify
guy?
Russian. He is, but he was a big fan of H.G. Wells, and he studied engineering in Britain, so he was very influenced by early 20th century British science fiction. Um,
Hmm.
that's kind of interesting because it's like 1984, but he wrote it while the Russian Civil War was still going on. I mean, it really incredibly early on. But the view that that creates is horrific. However, I have spoken to some Ukrainians about it. They say like it's still problematic because it still has some echoes of
Oh wait,
Russian
sorry.
themes. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. Zamyatin actually died in 1937, so it was the
Yes. Yes.
World War One. Did you say? I heard you
So
said World
he
War Two.
during the Civil War, during the Russian Civil War, I
Ah,
was going to say
Civil War.
Russian
Yeah,
Civil War, during the Civil War, which of course engulfed, wasn't a civil war, it was an
the
invasion, of course, of
Empire.
Ukraine at
Yeah.
that point. But Muy is, I think, 1921, possibly. Let me have a look.
Yeah, it was quite
Um,
a long time ago.
yeah, before Stalin started building this horrific society, but I think and the mass purges began. But yeah, 1920 to 21, it's incredibly early. And I think Orwell was inspired a little bit by that, if he was aware of it. I think he probably was.
He
Um,
was, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, I guess he was. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
terrifying vision of the future, but also
So
kind of yeah,
for me to
instructive.
finish the
Yeah.
topic that I stretched for so long, Russians used ignorance against our people, and to be honest, Jonathan, the most the saddest thing is that a lot of people still did not realize that they live in literally shit right now in
Yeah.
Donetsk because of Russia. They yeah, I just know, unfortunately, how it works. I've seen those people. I've seen that once you have pro-Russian propaganda in your mind, it's just a tiny chance that you will ever be unpropaganded. Unfortunately, it stays with people
Mm.
for the rest of their lives most of the time. So, of course, there are exceptions, but it's a powerful, powerful tool. The propaganda is, and you remember that Nazi Germany propaganda still lives in some Germans, unfortunately. And
Took decades to almost outgrow a new generation who weren't brought up in it. It doesn't happen. I mean, this is one of the most terrifying aspects for me, at least, is for all those who listen to so-called Russian liberals. And, we had Karamazov and Navalny last week just saying that they hope for a democratic future. It's like, well, tell us how you're going to deconstruct this massive brainwashing over generations. Tell us how you're going to deal with that before spinning us some fairy tale about, the bright future. Anyway,
Roman,
calm,
uh,
calm.
Roman, I wanted to quickly ask you, did you encounter
Me?
any of that propaganda when you served in Donbas?
It was sometimes more dangerous to be in Mariupol than on the front line. We was fight near Azov Sea on the beach actually of Azov Sea, in Shirokino, in Granitne. It's near Mariupol, like 18-20 kilometers from that. And when we have some short vacation from battlefield in 2015, it was so scary. You couldn't, as a soldier in uniform, you can't just walking around in the city alone because you could be killed, especially if you would weapon your target. And we met a lot of people who said, why the hell you came here, why you came here to kill our Russian brothers, or it was so tough for me. It was so difficult, to came from capital of Ukraine to fight there in the east, and see so stupid people who accuse us that we start Maidan, that we how dare we just get rid of criminal president Yanukovych, who just did whatever he like right now doing Trump, for example. But we had some balls, to get rid of such unnecessary part of our country. But it was very difficult for me. I was thinking like, damn, I'm a student of architectural university. I live in capital. War is pretty far from my home, but I drop everything and go there, and just to protect these people who many of them who was brainwashed with this propaganda. Because while Rick sharing with you about his television in Ukraine, in Kiev, it was a bit different. It wasn't like some straight Russian propaganda, but it was. We had a lot of bloggers, for example, who used to speak Russians and did a lot of prank that if you speak Ukrainian, you're from village, you like second sort person. If you speak Russians, you're elite capital city guy or girl who like luxury, who are so VIP person. And uh, propaganda was more sophisticated, I believe, in capital, because there were like a lot of universities here, a lot of businesses. It's capital, okay? So they find the way how to affect on our mind. So they create a lot of series, a lot of movies. They sing song, they do some funny, як це, комічні, як там, 95-й квартал, 95
Yeah,
Quartal.
95 Quartal, yes. That's
Yeah, for
Zelensky's
comedy
example.
studio,
shows.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, comedy show or such bullshit, which look like that. And they always, if you watch carefully, you always see this way of disrespect Ukrainian and respect Russia in those or other ways. So of course many people start thinking like, wow, Russia, it's so cool.
Yeah.
But these people, they never was abroad in Europe. That's why it affect on them. Me, fortunately, I was in Europe before Revolution of Dignity. All my family was in Europe, and we was in Russia as well for one time only. We saw the difference. But these people only believe in this sophisticated and smart propaganda, which was so high quality, I would say it. Yeah.
This is it. Seeing Russia in all its glory is a kind of immunization against some of the bullshit because I've been to places, and once you've seen some of those things in provincial Russia, then the propaganda is just such obvious nonsense when you've actually walked those streets and seen how grim some of those places really are. I guess this Kvartal 95 is Ukrainian in character, but it comes from the whole cover end kind of tradition, the sort of Soviet variety sort of stuff, doesn't it? Which is I never understood the humor, to be honest. I never understood the humor. I tried to watch it and I just
because
couldn't
of
get into it.
your place of birth.
No, yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, if I had been born
No, no
in,
disrespect, but just you have different kind of humor, right?
I have a different
Which is
kind of
not
humor,
funny
yeah.
for other people.
Well, British humor's quite well known.
Yeah, I like British humor.
Monty Python,
Me
it,
too.
it exports quite well.
Me too, actually, but I couldn't help myself. Sorry,
No,
Jonathan.
I'll let you sort of get away with that. But of course, if we're going to sum up this Russian cultural product, because of course this episode really is going to be about Ukrainian cultures. We're going to get onto that in a minute. But let's tie up this topic because this soft propaganda is incredibly effective. And the films, especially film as a medium, reaches a sort of mass. And when you have things like Brat and Brat 2, one, it tells us something about the mentalities. It's maybe useful to use as a tool to understand the enemy, but that's not why they created this stuff. And then films like, Особенности национального пиздуха, that kind of stuff, that kind of genre.
Rick,
Oh,
he's an agent. Look at him.
but,
Yeah, oh.
but,
Jonathan, I'm looking for you.
you don't know where I live. It's okay. Uh,
Yet.
But then there's high culture and high art, which is exported, and I still have these arguments with people where they're like, "Well, Russia's doing terrible things, but it has such a great culture," and I've been trying to find a way to counter that narrative. And I found a sort of certain visualization, but I'd love to hear both of your views on it. It's basically, yes, Russian culture is a forest, and the trees look especially tall. Or why is that? Because all the other trees around it have been cut down. That's all the other
Mhm.
cultures, all the other literatures have been destroyed in order to elevate this one little clump of trees there. But what's your view on that? Because we have to counter Russian soft cultural propaganda in the West as well.
I believe this is also the time before we respond to remind that we gather in here to have good time, right? And to gather money for Ukrainian defenders as well, who right now in the middle of December in the trenches. Ah, fuck. I don't want to even imagine. This is so bad times for fighting. It's always, it's not good. It's never good weather for fighting. But winter is something special. It's like, top of the top. And friends and people, supporters who still watching us, thank you for paying attention to Ukraine. Thank you for your support, and please never stop and keep on donating, because these trucks will go directly to the front line for evacuation mission, for rotation, for logistics, and to just increase chance of Ukrainian defenders to survive in this fight. Yeah, so it's gonna be somewhere in QR code or in the description. I don't
It's going to
know.
be in the description. Actually, that's a
Yeah,
good idea. Why don't I do a QR code as well? So we'll liaise after the recording. We'll get a
Awesome.
QR code and we'll embed it into the video so that people
Awesome.
see it
yeah.
throughout.
I'll
Thank
Yeah,
you
make
very
one.
much.
that's
I'll make
effective.
one for you.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
I
Thank you very
actually
much.
create them. Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, guys. So the teams that we're aiming to help, one of them is fighting on Pokrovsk direction. These guys are from the famous Da Vinci regiment. There are two of them: the Wolves, Da Vinci Wolves, and there's also Da Vinci. These guys are Da Vinci, separate regiment. They are, and they tell me that unfortunately they lose trucks every day there, and they basically have almost no trucks left. So as it is an urgent request, a really urgent one, the other guys are fighting well, around the front line because they are a drone team. These guys, as you did not know, maybe some of you guys did not realize that drone teams don't sit comfortably. They also work from dugouts. They don't sit comfortably somewhere in the rear. They go out closer to the front line, sit in a dugout or in a basement of some totally level to the ground village. and they operate also from pretty harsh conditions. So the drone
And they're a
team from
key
the
target, aren't they? I mean,
exactly.
Russians especially want to seek out drone
Yeah.
pilots because of their value and impact.
Yeah, these drone pilots are from the third. Oh wait, I was talking about Ninth Brigade. Yeah, so the Ninth Brigade right now don't have even a single truck left, guys. That's a couple of dozens of people, and I mean exactly this unit, not the whole brigade, of course. This probably company. So we're actually helping those guys on the regular basis, and though the trucks are expendable on the front line. This is why they need another one. They actually need 10 more, but we do what we can with the resources that we have. The other guys are the brothers in arms of Roman, and they served in the 3rd Assault Brigade, but transferred to 53rd Brigade as a part of the 3rd Corps. I always want to call it 3rd Assault Corps, but no, it's a 3rd Army Corps. So they transferred to 53rd Brigade to strengthen it, and they are operating heavy bombers. The famous Baba Yaga drones is what they use. And by the way, those guys were the guests on my stream last week, and we had a great conversation there. So if anyone wants to check who are you going to be helping with your donations, the recording is there on my channel. Their call signs are Kefir and Kadik. Great guys, and they are not the only members of the team, but they are our, let's say, faces of the team. So we aim to help them. Their truck is also going to be the priority. They're going to get it among the first. Then there are going to be 2 more units that we still don't know what units they are going to be, because the requests are coming from the side of Car for Ukraine, and Car for Ukraine is going to decide a bit later who is going to be the priority to receive the remaining 2 trucks. So yeah, guys, these I wanted to talk about the teams a bit, so you know their stories a bit more. Who are they? Because you know this Ukrainian army in general that our supporters help is not the same as helping the individuals. The exact Serhiy or Alexander or Mikhailo who we help and who I try to invite to my streams as much as possible, so people know their heroes, know the defenders who protect not only Ukrainian rear but the European rear from Russian imperialism and colonialism. We'll get to that in a bit because Jonathan wanted us to talk about the books today too.
Yes, we do. We want to mention your favorite books. We've got about sort of 15 minutes left before we're going to wrap up. But I want both your nominations for books and, if you've got them, films and artists as well. And let's add a new category for music as well, because, you know, why not?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
May I be first with
Go for it, Rick.
I actually have 2 books in mind, but let me show one, then maybe Roman shows or tells about one, and then me again, okay? So the book I have here is The Ukrainian Military Leadership. Okay, it's mirrored, so it's not that easy to adjust.
For me, it's all right.
Yeah,
I
now it's all
recognize
right.
a few of those guys, yeah.
So yeah, famous faces, and the author of this book, the main author, is Viktor Andrushev. He is a Ukrainian officer who has been traveling to. By the way, Jonathan, he's been traveling to UK last week or the week before the last one, and he was talking to your government officials, to also the former NATO commander. I forgot the last name of that guy. So, to be honest, I think you should get this guy
I should get
into
this
your
guy on.
show
Absolutely, yeah. I
someday.
didn't see any reason why not. I assume his
I
English then is quite good if he's been over here.
yes, I don't have his contacts, unfortunately. He's a
I'm
very
quite good at sniffing these things out.
yeah. Please find this guy
Agent.
because
Yeah.
what
Roman's
agent?
going to take that the wrong way, isn't he? He's going to like, yes, I know you're good at finding out secretive information which you shouldn't have.
So, in this book, I haven't read it yet because I have so little time left after all the work I have every day in these fundraising streams and all this stuff, but I try to read it bit by bit. So it has a lot of illustrations. It has the Ukrainian military leaders. There is Madar there is Marcos there, but not only them. Also the level of colonels, generals. There are great, inspiring leaders that we have in this book, but there's also an English version of his book. Let me show you how it looks. It looks like this: How Ukrainians Lead.
Oh,
You can
interesting.
get
Okay,
it.
we can
You
find
can
that.
get it
Yeah,
online.
great.
I really recommend to buy not only this book, but Ukrainian books in general, because it's a piece of our culture. Every
Mm.
book, every good book that is written in Ukraine, because of course there are different books. Not all Ukrainian books are um, must have, but those that we recommend, I guess you can trust us, guys, right?
We trust you implicitly. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's my first book. Thank you for your attention, guys. Go get that one because it's pretty good.
Great. Let's have one of Roman's choices.
It's you, can you clarify this question? Because is this about Ukrainian books or any books or
Ukrainian, 100% Ukraine. This has to be Ukrainian. This is giving oxygen to Ukrainian writers and creativity.
huh? Yeah, it's pretty tough question because right now I'm working about my own book and I just try to read something. Yeah, I just try to read something which could motivate me or show me the way how to do it correctly, and I couldn't find any of Ukrainians book, at least recently, which I like. That's why I try to read some American or some old book like Remark, All Quiet on the Western Front or stuff like that. So I'm more in processing right now, but uh, j just for reading something from literature in school, to be honest, I hated Ukrainian literature because most of the time we was obeyed to read something depressive, and the only one was uh, I forgot even his name. His surname is Bagryany, and the book is Тигролови.
Ivan Bagryany.
Ivan Bagryany, yeah, Tigrolovo. It was one of the book which was like motivated, funny, amazing, with strong spirit. And yeah, actually, I remember one book which is pretty recently. It's from 2015. It's about Donetsk airport, and the name is Airport.
Do you
It's
remember
about
the author? Do you remember the author of the book?
No, no. I'm pretty bad with memory for
We'll
now.
we'll get
Yeah,
back. We'll
but
look that up. We'll figure it
this
out.
is about it wasn't from soldier. It's from journalists who joined Donetsk airport, the keyboards in this airport for 10 days, but he show how combat was there. Pretty messy.
I found it. I guess it's this one. Airport by Serhiy Loiko.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
it's
the
this.
one. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, this book. Awesome. And please continue. I interrupted you. It feels like that.
You always did it. It's a
You got used to it.
no, never.
No, never.
Never,
Okay.
Where's
never
the suit?
forgiven, never used.
Then I apologize, Roman.
And you apology accepted. Please
Awesome.
carry on.
So should I go to the second book? The second one
Yes, go
is
for the second one. I found this for the audience, so this is great. I'm just, as you're talking, I'm compiling the list so I can add it to the description of the video.
mm-hmm. So yes, actually the second book is the book of your friend who you already mentioned today. It's Dimko's book,
It's Dimka, an
Ordinary Guy
War.
at War. Exactly. Yeah.
Ah,
I
I said earlier to him that no one's nominated his book yet, and he looked a little bit, a little bit upset there. Not
tell
upset, but he was
him
like, yeah.
tell him it was me.
I will do. Yeah.
So yeah, I did not read the book yet. I would love to hear it, but I definitely trust what his personality, because Dimko
Yeah.
was a guest on my streams too, and he strikes me as a brilliant guy who actually is, as you said, young but very capable,
Yeah.
very ingenious. Ingenious, that's the
Ingenious.
word I'm
And he
looking
has a
for.
brilliant wife, and he's gathered a brilliant team around him. And I think that's also
Yes.
a sign of brilliant people. They're not afraid of being overshadowed by people who are as good or even better than they are. He's like
Yeah.
that. He's absolutely generous with his
And
leadership.
Dimko is leading by example, and
Yeah,
he's leading me by example too. So I'm advertising his book right now.
fantastic. He will
I
be
have the
delighted. He's on the list now.
and as for Tigrilovy of Ivan Bahryany, I actually, Roman, I raffled that book about a month ago on one of the
Wow.
streams. Yeah, in Ukrainian. Adrian from Switzerland won that book, and it already went there. I think he already received it. So one Tigrilovy lives in Switzerland right now, and I have the third one. But Roman, maybe before that, you remember any other one?
Mm, no, actually,
It's
I
okay.
wasn't read a lot during full scale, so I couldn't do it.
So the third one I wanted to mention is of Maxim Eristavi.
Ah,
It is
of
called
course.
Russian Colonialism 101. By the way,
It's
was it
yeah.
mentioned before? I wonder,
It
Janto.
was mentioned before, and I can even tell you who mentioned it. Let's have a look. Maxim Iristowy. Yes, that was mentioned by Andrew Chachoyan, who is a Russian, no, he's a Ukrainian geopolitical analyst and journalist based in the Netherlands.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I know a lot about that book. Don't have it yet, but I'm gonna have Maxim as a guest on Sunday stream. This, yeah,
He's fantastic. He's fantastic.
just in 2 days.
I have
So yeah.
got that book, and I'm very pleased that I managed to pick up a copy. I actually got it delivered, but I've got a copy of that, and it is tremendous. I constantly dip into it to refill my outrage and horror at the historical injustice of, the empire next door. No, great choice.
Okay. That's all of my books. As for the movie, I will definitely nominate 2,000 Meters to Andriivka, that I watched this year in cinema. It is very powerful, strong. It is, of course, hard to watch it because you can see the Ukrainian battlefield as it is, raw, some videos from body cameras, and actually, we have the participant of that operation here with us on this video. Roman
Oh,
was there. He was one of the guys actually advancing to Andriivka. So I when I was watching that movie, I could easily imagine Roman on the place of the defenders who were advancing the damn 2 kilometer forestation. So
it's
Roman,
tough. Yeah.
if I don't think you watched 2,000 meters to Andriivka, or you would have
I
told
am.
me you watched it,
Yeah,
right?
well, yes.
Can you share the emotions when you were watching it, or when you watched it?
Just maybe a week ago. So that's the
Okay,
reason why I disappeared for a few days.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very tough, but I just want to clarify that it was the part of counteroffensive, big counteroffensive operation near Bakhmut in 2023 from March, from April and to end of the summer till maybe fuck I can't think. Yeah, till the beginning of the autumn. So I was out of the game in the end of summer, but this exact operation on this tree line was without me. We have the same like battles, but this tree line I was already in hospitals after injuries, and I just met friends who survived there and who joined me. It was so pleasure to join me in hospital and share with me news. So I just want to be 100% correct that I wasn't at these three lines, but we have pretty the same during all counter-offensive. It was something like this. And actually, I really recommend people watch it because it will destroy all your illusion how it happens. Not like cool guys with big gun walking around. They don't care about bullet. This is something more realistic, and this movie is very realistic and very difficult as well. You need to be prepared.
Hmm. Yeah, I
That, that,
basically had the same feelings there. But I also wanted to ask Roman if he wants to nominate some of his movies. Sorry, Jonathan, that
yeah,
I'm
please do. I said
actually.
that Chernov, we've got one nomination for 20 Days in Mariupol, which is also a very, very tough film to
Yeah.
watch. But yeah, 2000 meters from Derivka now gets the most votes. We got four votes for that, which is more than any others. And in second place, we've got Sergei Parajanov, Shadows of Forgotten Ancestors. But then, that's more of a sort of classic piece of
Hmm.
filmmaking.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
I just want to add about books and movies
Mm.
from the beginning of full scale invasion. mm, It maybe will be some narcissistic answer, but for me, the most interesting movies was just what I'm filmed from the battlefield, from talking to combat fellows. So, like for me, my personal real life, and especially while I film a lot of that, was more interesting than any movies because it was like in movies, but it, it was me and my brothers in arms in that movies. So I watch and rewatch all this moment from frontline, from hospitals, from base camp, and it gives me emotions. But other movies which I watch around, they give me just nothing, just it's emptiness. And with book, it's pretty the same. When you live in this particular time and do this story, your diary, your part of book, and some notes from your combat fellow. This is the most interesting because it can gives you this real emotions and attachment to what's going on there. Just with no disrespect for any authors and producers of movies, but this is my answer maybe for culture, because maybe for me it's very triggering for now, and yeah.
That's a very moving insight. That's not narcissistic at all. That is such an important thing to understand.
mhm. I'll quickly nominate one more movie because we're already stretching
Yes,
the
we're
format too
stretching the
much.
format into it. It's going to be 9 hours. It's either an hour or it's 9 hours. It doesn't.
Yeah. So the recent movie that was premiered in Ukraine just about 1.5 months ago, "You Are the Space." I think it was
You are the
translated
universe, I
"The
think is the
Universe,"
title they called it there. Yeah.
but actually, it in Ukrainian it sounds "You're the Space," not universe. But of course, it sounds more accurate, not accurate, but beautiful in English when it's universe. Absolutely fantastic Ukrainian space saga. I really recommend it. It has so much humor in it, and a lot of meaning, some human relationship. So I was totally carried away by this one just a month ago, and people are standing up and giving applause to it in the end. Or maybe was it just me? Uh, okay. Anyway, a great movie. I recommend to watch it, everyone, when it's going to be premiered in your countries. I think they have those
Fantastic.
plans.
Would definitely want to go out and see that. Space and science fiction is a huge thing, and for me, and that ticks so many different boxes. I look forward to seeing that. The last one, is there any artist or music that you want to nominate? Introduce maybe people to something they've not heard before.
Roman,
Yeah.
should you go first?
Yeah, sure. Ukrainian music, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Well, back to yeah.
I listen different. That's why I ask. But for me, Yermak music is like
Oh
one
yeah.
of the best singer, and especially respect for him because he was a rapper. Then he joined the army, and so right now he in army, and he keep on doing the music. This is so beautiful with lyrics and text. This is amazing. Um, but a lot of them actually. But if you give me a question in advance, I will remember. Right now, I couldn't. My head is like empty.
Yeah.
But I listen a lot of Ukrainian music, and this is so amazing.
I mean, this is Alexander Yermak, isn't it? Because I'm not sure I'd want to listen to rap produced by Andrei Yermak. That'd be a
Yeah,
different
yeah.
genre entirely.
That's a different one. Andriy Yermak
No,
definitely
Andrei
would have
Yermak is
make.
is fairy tailer. He's not a singer. He's
Yeah,
fucking he's clown. He's fairy tailer. We're talking about singer, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, singer, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
Alexander
yeah,
Yermak. Yeah, I also I wouldn't say I'm a fan of Yermak, but I listen to a lot of his songs, especially the ones that he wrote during the full-scale invasion,
yeah.
like Zamknutый Kontur or Vavilon or
Dikke
Zapovit.
Pole.
Dikke Pole, yeah, but those are powerful. They are a very strong. I will use sorry that I will use this word, but it's a constructive propaganda. It's a very mm, patriotic lyrics that show you the importance. And actually, if we talk about the Ukrainian youth, right, a lot of Ukrainian young men and women could be inspired by that, and they could realize why it is important to defend your country. Because Yermak is specialized on that lately. He is, showing the importance very well in his lyrics. I have a few artists, real quick. Aziza Iskender, my dear friend, very talented Crimean Tatar singer. You can find her on YouTube. Very powerful. Me and Roman, we have been to quite a few of her concerts. So if Roman is not the fan, he definitely knows that she is talented, right?
Yeah, most def. She has her
hmm
style for sure.
Yeah.
This
So
is
uh,
Nivin. Is this? I got this correct. It's Nivin Esmat Aziz. No, that's someone different, isn't it?
no,
No,
man.
you'll
It's
send me. You'll send me
yeah,
over.
it's
Yeah,
Aziza
Yeah.
Eskender.
Aziz
She should be a
Iskander.
guest.
Okay.
Damn it, she's such a good speaker,
Hmm.
Jonathan, and she is advocating for Crimea so well. You need to invite her to
Yeah.
Let's
your
do that.
and maybe even in December if your schedule is not stuffed with guests yet for the event.
Yeah, no, it's not. And I've decided to carry this on into January because it was difficult
Nice.
scheduling everyone. So this will continue for another couple of weeks. Send me over her details and
Of course.
100% we'll make
Will
that
do.
happen.
But if you like Aziza is a and for me she is powerful, but underground music. In Ukraine, I really hope she will be known throughout all Ukraine and around the world. That's what I'm wishing for her. But right now in Ukraine, we have famous artists who are also pretty good. Palindrom, for example, Kurhane Agregat. I actually introduced that band to Roman, and he even said, it has something in it. So Kurhane Agregat sing in Surjik. They are very, ironic, sarcastic band that do pretty good quality rap music.
Do you know who played
Uh,
it? It was Ivan from Car for Ukraine played me some of that in the car. He says you have to listen to this, and
yes,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
bet he did.
yeah, yeah.
I bet he did. Plus, we have, for example, a great like indie pop music or indie rock, something like Britpop, Britpop. But they finally got rid of the inferiority complex and they started sounding, singing only in Ukrainian. But the quality of that music is so good. Their name is, oh my God, how could I forget the name of one of my favorite bands? But that happens sometimes.
Especially when
The
you're on air, you know.
Unsleeping. The Unsleeping. Oh, also Deka Energetic, great Ukrainian band. Kazhanna, I discovered her not so long ago. Young artist, she's 23 years old, very talented, has great voice. So I can go on, but the time is limited. At
Time's
least
limited. I think
five.
probably the main bit is to send all those links over to me when we get off air, so I can then include them in the description and people can then follow up and hopefully find some of this stuff on Spotify and or wherever. I think it'd be great if people can sort of follow up on this.
Mhm. Roman, any artists also in your mind?
A lot of them, but it's not about Russian conversation. It should be like we need to have another stream like that and maybe talk
Yeah.
about it more.
Yeah,
And we need to mention
like,
the fundraiser before we go as well, don't we? We do
oh,
have to
yeah,
have another mention of that too.
that's a good idea. I'll quickly mention, guys, you actually have the real chance to help our defenders survive because those trucks, they help them survive, especially the Car for Ukraine ones that are armored, that have those, is it iron?
It's
I
steel,
think
steel
steel.
plates. Yeah.
Yeah, steel plates next to the heads of the soldiers on the doors, plus also inside the doors. So the body of a soldier will be protected with those cars. Please help us get all five. It's a pretty ambitious goal these days. 60,000 euros because we have five cars. We're raising funds for five cars plus tires for them. So they're going to be packed with winter and mud tires. So thank you guys for actually doing this, for helping them survive, and they rely on you a lot.
And they
If
have the
only
steel
you would
plates
know.
also in front of the engine, because that's another crucial part that if a drone hits
Hmm.
in the engine, you can damage legs and limbs. It's all body protection. In fact, the vehicle, and remember the live stream that we did? Um, that vehicle was delivered to the front a couple of weeks after we did the live stream. It lasted 3 weeks on the front, and all three service people in that vehicle survived with only minor scratches and concussion, which obviously unavoidable on the front. But all of them lived to fight another day. In fact, I'm sure the next day they were probably discharged and back doing their duties. The vehicle was destroyed, but it saved or protected those three lives. And I think this is an absolutely key point to get across to people. They're contributing to keep Ukrainian warriors safe and help ensure they are effective.
Roman, do you have something to add? Did I forget something?
Um, yeah, about fundraising. I'm still we're still under impression that you are supporting Ukraine almost 4 years in a row. So thank you very much for that, and keep on fighting for truthful. This is the most important in our life.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
guys, we should
thank you.
say be in the army
For the army.
or
Before
be
the
for
army.
the army. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being for the army and also in the army because a lot of volunteers from all over Europe, United States, and all over the world, they join Ukrainian army and also fight for us. We need to remember about them too. Thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
And we'll feature a lot more of them next year on the channel. I think getting those voices like Ramon's voices, those who've had that direct experience, is incredibly important to help people empathize and understand what's going on. I hope you guys have a peaceful holiday. I know you won't, however, because you have an evil neighbor who will ensure that your holiday is not peaceful. But I also hope you get some joy with your friends and families, and we'll be thinking of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thanks.
Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
And donate.
Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.
Героям слава.
I'm proud to say that this series of Ukrainian Advent interviews is supported by the Steel Porcupine, a unique and powerful film about a country that refuses to lie down, a people who turn themselves into a fortress of needles when Russian tanks rolled in. The Steel Porcupine is an unforgettable cinematic experience that exposes Russia's campaign of extermination in Ukraine and the Ukrainian people's spirit to resist and prevail. It follows soldiers, volunteers, and ordinary people who decided that survival meant resistance, not submission. Introduced by Nate Vance, a former US Marine who fought for 3 years in Ukraine's defense, this documentary moves from the Bucha massacre to genocide endorsing Russian state propaganda media. The Steel Porcupine is a love letter to Ukraine and a battle cry. It is free to watch and has already had a great impact on policymakers as well as activists. There is, of course, a link in the description of this video and in the comments as well. You can get to the website where you can see both the trailer and the film for free. Created by the makers of the acclaimed To the Zero Line, this is another film about humanity that clearly states there is no such thing as neutrality when war crimes are being committed systematically by Russia and on a scale in Europe only comparable to World War II. Set to a haunting soundtrack featuring music by Philip Glass and blending rare archival footage with original material. It is an impactful work of art and storytelling as well as being informative. I strongly recommend you watch it, but even the trailer itself is compelling.
I feel terrible about it because Ukraine is a very important country, and I feel a personal stake because I got them to agree to give up their nuclear weapons, and none of them believe that Russia would have pulled this stunt if Ukraine still had their weapons. And I believe Europe and the United States should continue to support Ukraine. There may come a time when the Ukrainian government believes that they can think of a peace agreement they could live with, but I don't think the rest of us should cut and run on them.
Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian military have been underestimated for a period of several years now. And ultimately, I'm convinced from my reflections in observing from an intelligence standpoint that they will fight with their bare hands if they have to, if they don't have terms that are acceptable to an enduring peace.
So this is a design for a 3D printed drone frame. The engines are mounted here. The drone motors are mounted here and here and here. What I can do is export these shapes into the slicer.
This film has absolute moral clarity. It does not both sides the war. It does not use neutral language. This is a film that says clearly who invaded whom, who is killing whom, and who is standing on their own land, fighting back, showing why Ukrainians will bleed for every meter. This film is not meant to comfort you. It's meant to arm you with clarity, with solidarity, and with the stubborn, spiky hope that democracies can still fight back and win.
Children are not stupid. They're just small, right? They're just small versions of us. They know exactly who the threat is. There's almost no families within Ukraine who have not lost a family member or have had a family member maimed by Putin and his army.
The Ukrainian people are very resourceful and they're very determined, and they've got a very good reason to be determined. Russia wants to exterminate the Ukrainian nation and just enslave it and absorb it. So they've got every reason to do everything necessary to win this war.
Putin was super clear when he started this war that the existence of Ukraine as a sovereign and free country was an unacceptable affront to Russian security. He will not stop until Ukraine isn't a country anymore.
We have to put Ukraine in a position of strength, that it has the means to fortify and protect itself from the economic survival to the military resilience. It's basically turning Ukraine into a steel porcupine that is indigestible for potential invaders.
Poets have spent their entire lives trying to explain the horrors of war. I am no poet. Anyone who has seen what I have seen would probably think differently about the situation in Ukraine and what the Russians are doing.